TellyCast, the TV industry news review.
Hi, I'm Justin Crosby, and welcome to TellyCast. On this week's show, I chat with Asacha Media Group co-CEO Marina Williams as we discuss the company's international growth, acquisition, and co-production plans. Plus, I chat with TF1's head of content development, Julien Degroote, on the French broadcaster's format creation strategy, current market developments in the country, and what's working with viewers right now. It's all coming up on this week's TellyCast. My first guest on this week's show is co-founding partner and CEO at multinational IP creation and production business, Asacha Media Group. Welcome to TellyCast, Marina Williams.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to join you today.
Asacha Media Group has been making some headlines in the content industry recently, and we'll come on to chat about those in a second. But first of all, for our listeners who are not familiar with you or Asacha, give us a bit of information on your background and about Asacha Media Group.
Absolutely. It will be my pleasure. So I've been in the industry for many years. Originally, maybe you can hear my accent. I actually come from Russia. I was born in St. Petersburg, and I came to United Kingdom in early 90s. Maybe it was luck, maybe it was destiny, I don't know, but my first job was with CNN International. And it was a fantastic time when Ted Turner, a really huge entrepreneur, and for me, like godfather in the business, launched European business, and I joined that office in early 90s to roll out CNN International across European territories. I thought it was just a several months project at the time, but I was there for 7 years.
Wow, that must have been really exciting time. I mean, the industry legend and CNN was all, all rolling news was relatively new and exciting and competitive. So that must have been a fantastic experience.
I have to say, I love to be with so to say pioneers, because it was really absolutely a pioneer of live news. And to see the technology, I mean, now it's all common, right? So many people can do live news, but in those days, Ted was the first. And to see the rollout of this equipment and incredible, when I went to Atlanta and I saw this cases in one room, and I said, what are all these kind of steel looking cases? They said, well, we can go anywhere in the world. We open them up, we put the signal up to the satellite, and we can transmit from desert. And of course, this was also the Gulf War, which made CNN so successful. And I think that gave us a huge boost to make the business amazing. So the growth of subscribers was crazy. On the back of CNN, we launched Cartoon Network. So I moved to kids business at the time and stayed on for 7 years with the pay TV industry.
It's like a baptism of fire, but it must have been incredibly exciting. So where did you go after CNN then?
So after that, I actually, this kids, it was kind of interesting because I had my first son, and I moved to kids business, and it was really fantastic timing. So I joined Fox Kids Europe, and this was a business set up as a joint venture between Chaim Saban and Rupert Murdoch. So managed by Saban, and it was a very, very startup stages. So you can tell I love startups, which is in a way, at the time, even though I was not a founder, but joined the team, which was growing from scratch. And we took the company public, did a roadshow, presented the European strategy. And this is actually where I met my current partners, Marc-Antoine Delouin, who also joined Fox Kids Europe team in UK, and we worked really closely with each other for 5 years. And Gaspard de Chevignac was managing the business at the time for France. So we were part of the very entrepreneurial, very fast-moving environment, and built pretty big business, 46 million subscribers for relatively unknown library of product over 4 years. And then, the shareholders decided to sell it, and Disney acquired the business. So we went through interesting experience at the time, So just to say, after that, I went to Fox, and launched Fox channels. So I kind of stayed on their News Corp side for a couple of years. Was part of, again, of a very small team at that time, managed by the CEO of National Geographic, David Haslington. And we launched first Fox entertainment networks in Europe, like Fox Live, Fox Crime, FX. These were exciting days.
Yeah, well, it sounds like, as you say, you've been involved with, lots of nascent projects and building brands and building channels. And then you were at Endemol Shine, is that right?
Yeah, actually, there was something in between which really was quite key for me, because I really, with time, wanted to move along different, I would say, different divisions of the industry. So I learned as much as I could learn in pay TV, but pay TV was a subscription-driven business, and I always wanted to see what is it like running free-to-air channels, where you wake up every morning and you look at the ratings, and you will see whether your decisions of the previous days actually delivered immediate results or not, because you don't see it in pay TV as much as you do in free TV. So I joined Central Media Enterprises, which is a company founded by Ronald Lauder. In fact, the younger son of Estelle Lauder. She had two sons. One inherited her perfume empire and managed it, and their second son worked in the diplomatic circles at the time when the wall came down, and he launched and privatized quite a few national stations in Central Eastern Europe. So it was a very big company at the time, 5 billion market cap, growing across 6 countries in Central Eastern Europe with very big networks. So I joined them in London to help manage the businesses in the region and growing synergy between all these companies, and in fact kicking off local production for the first time. So that was the first experience moving into production business, from where I went into Endemol in 2009.
And you were there for quite a while at Endemol.
Yes, actually, incredible. My longest, I would say, because normally I was with the company for 5, maximum, 6 years. So Endemol, 9 years. Endemol, then going through Endemol Shine merge, which was a very interesting experience. And yes, so 9 years.
Then you moved on to Asacha and co-founded Asacha. So first of all, where's Asacha based?
So Asacha is a French legal entity. It's incorporated in France. Headquarters is in Paris. And it has been designed as a truly European project to start with. But we are across 3 territories right now, beautiful cities, Paris, London, and Rome. This is where our assets are. And I'm based out of UK because this is where I live. And obviously, it really helped during COVID times when hardly anybody could travel. So I was looking after our initial assets with 2 companies that we acquired in UK, while Gaspar was in France. We are co-CEOs of the business, so we share certain responsibilities. And of course, I'm on the road quite a bit, despite COVID, between London and Paris a lot. And of course, visiting our Italian assets in Rome.
Talk us through the business then, because in my intro, I called it a multinational IP creation and production business. Well, first of all, tell us about the companies that comprise Asacha Media Group.
I'll explain how we launched, actually, like what was the thesis behind the launch of the company. And it did take us, a couple of years to raise funds and to get it off the ground. When I was at Endemol, it became apparent to me that most of like Endemol Shine at the time, or companies we were competing against, were really focused at the time on English-speaking product. And whenever any of their international, especially for drama, whenever any international drama would come on board and come into catalog, it was always a dilemma, and I would say difficulty to distribute, to promote local language content. I'm a true believer of authenticity and of originality, and also of the fact that ideas, wonderful ideas and stories can come from anywhere. And this was the original concept of Asacha. So, and we decided that we wanted to launch from continental Europe. And we knew that the streamers, originally, obviously big streamers arriving from US, we kind of could predict that they would be opening the budgets for local markets. And we wanted to be there with local partners, local producers, helping them to step up in the game and to be able to expand their product from their normal, I would say free-to-air linear TV clients to streamers. So that's how Asacha's concept was born originally, on predominantly non-English content to start with. So kicking off from Europe with non-English, but we did, expand over several months because as a secondary step, it's important for us to go into co-production. And of course, for co-production, UK market is very important.
I mean, I have to say that that's, for me, I mean, maybe it was obvious for you at the time, but I guess now you look at the success of local stories within the streamers. It's great that you obviously saw that opportunity back then, a few years ago, because now we're seeing local stories really truly become global. So this is obviously something that you've predicted. So congratulations on that. In terms of the companies then, so tell us about your UK production companies, tell us about your Italian businesses and your French businesses.
Yes, absolutely. I'll start with the Italians, if you don't mind, because they are our first partners who actually supported our project and believed into Asacha concept. So we partnered with two companies in Italy and two very important people. So Simone Ercolani, who was a founder of the company called Stand By Me. Simona is not only the founder and CEO of the business, she is actually a creative mind. So she's IP creator herself. She writes her own shows. At the time when we started negotiations, she was mainly across live action for children, a lot of factual shows, and very successful non-scripted businesses as well, and just making first steps into scripted, which is quite important for us, obviously, as a group. So we partnered with Simona. So we acquired majority stake in Simona's business, and she also converted some of her proceeds into the shares of Asacha Group. So she became a significant shareholder at their early stage in the whole group, which is an important concept for us. We really want to create a coherent structure where everybody is aligned and have interest not only to continue growing, their local business, but they really want to grow the whole group. And the second company in Italy is Pico Media. It's a primetime premium scripted producer, so strictly scripted, very focused. They do mainly TV series for primetime Rai Uno, for example, very big provider. And also they produce feature movies. So quite a few feature movies in collaboration with Warner Brothers, also with local movie chain. And now, of course, they stepped up, and also quite a few developments with Netflix and with other streamers which coming on board. So that's Italy. After Italy, we expanded in France kind of naturally because Gaspar, being a co-founder of Asacha, also rolled his relatively small at the time, French business. It was a startup company called Minty, where he has quite prolific partners as developers and also as a film director. He brought from previous Fremantle Zodiac days, I understand. And later in the year, we acquired also an equity stake in a very big company. Actually, they may be not so well known as a brand in the other markets. They're called Cabo. But they're very big in France. They're one of the biggest providers of content to M6 channel, and they're very strong in comedy. For about 10 years, they're the leader of ratings in rom-coms and dailies. And what's interesting for us as well, that the core management of Cabo managed to create an infrastructure in partnership with very talented people, like 10 different labels, as we call them. So, and in this supporting producer of prime time, like Arnaud Figare, for example, very big name, I think, in the French industry. And we have a partnership with him. We have some producers who develop much younger, kind of coming out of age series. So we have also other partners who are like produce mixed for Amazon, for example. So I would say several labels that we invested together with Cabo shareholders to beef up the scripted strategy for such a big market as France. And in UK, we also have two entities. So we're pretty balanced, I would say, today, in terms of presence and revenue, turnover, and projects across every country. So in UK, there's fantastic team of people at Red Planet. We were taken away by them, Tony Jordan and Alex Jones and Belinda Campbell, who formed the core team with amazing development team. And of course, Death in Paradise being still an absolute hit on BBC One.
Yeah, it's incredibly successful returning series. Yeah.
Yes, it's incredible. And even this year, like they were really the Christmas special was number 2 only after Queen's speech. So we were very, very proud. And the smaller company is in factual space because Stand By Me is in factual, so we're trying to actually find a way how companies complement each other. And WAG Entertainment is a factual producer, mainly originally serving US market, Discovery, Science Network, Weather Channel, sort of a little bit lower value but higher volume productions, some big franchises, which has been on air for 4 to 5 years. And now also we hired the new creative lead because we would like to complement that strategy with high-end documentaries. And actually, I can't announce it, but soon there will be a deal announced between supported by two major streamers, with quite an interesting project. So that's basically where we are. We have 6 companies today.
Right. And so you've acquired stakes and equity or overall ownership of these companies in a fairly short amount of time, right? Is it only, how long is it since you set Asacha up?
Oh, it's we launched April 2020.
Yeah, right.
So it was 18 months. Yes, we launched, I have to say, during very difficult times because everything was ready, funds, and we negotiated also deals with our Italian partners, and COVID struck the world. And actually, Italy was the worst in Europe at the time. It was very difficult time because nobody knew, how things would develop. But we are very, very thankful to our main shareholder and to all our partners because the trust was incredible in, 3 of us, the founders, and Marc-Antoine and Gaspar and me. So we were supported and we kicked off, and here we are, with a consolidated group and with more to come.
Can you give us a sense of the scale of the business now? We know you've got 6 companies overall, but in terms of revenues, what does that mean, just roughly, across the group?
Yeah, I wouldn't talk about maybe too details, but I would say somewhere around 200 million euros turnover.
Okay. And obviously you said it's not just scripted, it's very varied in terms of the output, but presumably scripted is probably the largest component of that.
Yeah, scripted and factual is the key contributor, even though during COVID time, first COVID year, Simona did absolutely incredible. Like she delivered 16 projects on air. And we realized how important it is to be diverse in the portfolio because it was much quicker production. Obviously some of the projects are lower scale than scripted, and within the guidelines of COVID, which we followed very, very strictly because protection of people is the key for us. But we managed to deliver a lot of projects to the Italian audience at the time.
Well, congratulations for working your way through that. I know we've got lots of war stories from across the industry of how people got through 2020 in particular. So how can the rest of the content industry work with you? Well, first of all, on the acquisition, are you still looking to acquire businesses? Are you still in an acquisition drive? And if so, what sort of businesses might you be targeting next?
Yes, we are definitely interested to continue growth via partnerships and acquisitions of companies. We would like to grow both geographically, but in some of the markets also, like UK, for example, I don't think we are done yet. So because it's such an important market, potentially France, but we are looking very actively into Germany, into Spain, Central Eastern Europe. I think for sure we'll find the right target because I think it's an important region enough to, from different aspects, I would say. The storytelling became a lot more interesting. The quality of the product have gone up as well, and we are working on some projects in Middle East as well. I would say they're quite a kind of diverse, still more EMEA, so we are not talking yet about Asia or America. However, we are always opportunistic because sometimes some incredible opportunity may come if it creates a synergy, certain synergy, or it's some amazing talent. We never say like totally no. But in terms of a focus where we want to be, this is the regions. We're actually also working with third-party producers quite a bit now because we're still relatively small. So we are only in 3 territories. And we created a central team, hired a really lovely and very professional lady from all three media, Maria Ishak, who looked after packaging of content and distribution of content predominantly in America. She was based in New York. So whilst we don't have assets presence or companies in America, we felt we do need to have that expertise because you can't ignore that market and you cannot ignore that all the streamers still have headquarters in those markets. So Maria brings her vast connections and experience from that part of the world, which really helps. And together with her, we are setting up international co-production division. So where we mainly focus on packaging of ideas with script writers, with talent, and finding funding for them. And these ideas can come from our own production companies or they can come from outside. So our doors are open. We can. It can be a third-party producer who may have an interest in natural story, maybe true story, which leads into our territories. So editorially, it may be a great fit for Italy, UK, or France. That's a true co-pro, what we call it, because it's natural editorial connections. So we would definitely open arms to look at those. Or it can be just a unique piece of incredible IP where some independent company needs more money to seed for development because you need a absolutely A-list writer. So we have certain central fund and we can seed some money to take that project to the next level. So invest. And the other element, we are always we haven't really worked as service provider, for other companies, but you never know. So if the project comes into Italy and we can service it well, we would do it. This is not our core, but as I say, every revenue stream is important. We would be open for that as well. We are masters of identifying the right IP for the right client, I think, and we would like to build up on that real professional expertise.
And those co-productions, is that mainly scripted or are you open to unscripted as well, unscripted co-productions?
Right now it's mainly scripted. We have actually one or two projects which are also quite interesting in factual space, where the story leads between. We have one football story which really incredible, and it's a story between Italy and UK. So it's a factual documentary with very interesting contributors. And because Simona is so big on non-scripted, from time to time, so we look at the projects actually where she could co-develop some new IP because she develops a lot on her own, and we are opportunistic there. So if there is a company, which actually has some interest in IP, we always listen to the speeches and we see there's something that could work for that market,
right,
for entertainment.
Okay. So for any producers out there who may be interested in having a conversation with you, maybe UK indies who you're looking to acquire, presumably it sounds like businesses who are medium-sized with returning series, ideally, and could be scripted, could be unscripted as well, or maybe even a mix of the two.
Well, first of all, this business is about people. So before we look at the numbers, or the size of the company, we want to know more about the people, and do they believe into our strategy, and how keen they are to continue in this business. We don't really do so many earn-out deals, which are so popular in UK, where people just want to work for X number of years and then they want to leave, because we are building a story here, of the group, where everybody's interest is aligned. So we like partners who want to maybe be more international, not just local, who are ready to look at the projects and cooperate with other partners within the group. So there is a proper creative co-development process. So that's important strategically. Size of the companies, yes, it does matter. It's better it's a bigger company than a smaller company. We are now at the stage that actually we can look at bigger companies. When you have a bigger scale, you grow much faster. Definitely a good track record, of being able to service clients, whether it's top ratings or, very credible clients. And if it's repeatable franchise, fantastic. Not so often you can come across companies like that. It's definitely a plus. We would love to create new franchises. So if there are people who prove that they are really creative, and they can work well with creative, that's another thing, because sometimes you can have a company you don't have. We are lucky with Red Planet because Tony Jordan is a writer himself. He founded the company, so he's a script writer. If you don't have talent necessarily like that, you do want to have people who know how to work with talent community.
Yeah.
Because you don't want arrogance. You really want low-key approach. At the same time, you want to listen, you want to contribute to those people. So collaboration, I would say, and that kind of collaborative mood is very key for us.
We'll keep our eyes peeled on the press and see what developments and announcements you're going to be making. By the sounds of it, there's probably a few on in the not too distant future. In terms of the news, so you announced an appointment, Alban de Noirmont, you hired fairly recently. Tell us about that hire.
Well, that's exactly the strategy to support what we just discussed, acquisition of companies, because, well, it's my, first experience of a proper startup. Even though there were a lot of startups, they were always within big corporations. But when you launch your own business, you have to do pretty much everything. And Gaspar and me were managing quite a few areas of the business during the startup stage, and we are very happy that now we scaled up to the level that we can actually reinforce our central team. So Alban came to join our team based out of Paris. He will help us lead the strategy for acquisitions. Also, we indeed have a good pipeline, so he will be the person to analyze the financials and help us to speed, in a professional manner, all of those discussions.
And now it's time for Story of the Week, the TV industry news story that's caught my guest's eye in the past 7 days. Marina, what's your story of the week?
Well, my story of the week is, of course, which probably everybody follows, and it must be not only my story, is Netflix share price. And Netflix announcement during, their obviously normal announcement of earnings and subscribers growth to their investors.
There's been a lot of commentary about it. What's your take on it? Because they've taken a bit of a dip, haven't they, those share prices?
It's pretty obvious that competition is stepping on Netflix feed, very rapidly. And we can see that in Europe as well. It's obvious that US subscribers are almost saturated. So the growth in US market is very limited. And there is still growth in Europe, but I think it's relatively to Asia Pacific relatively small. So to me, it looks like Netflix will be moving a lot of money probably into content in Asia Pacific region because it's still sort of the growth area. That's probably what they're going to happen. And I can see already a lot of expenditure with Korean dramas, which is good news for Netflix because they happen to work also from what we've seen with Squid Games, for everybody in the world. So I think they're still very smart. I think, it's incredible how many originals they have commissioned and built up. But for sure, it's not going to be easy because definitely Disney and Viacom and others will try to pull their content back from Netflix. All the content which was there under license, they will find every possible way to gain this license back. And that may deteriorate further, I think, the UK base of clients, because they probably, I would think, a lot of subscribers there subscribed for Netflix behind some big American brands, which will disappear within the next period of time. It's not an easy situation, but I think it's probably a good situation for us producers because the terms of trade that Netflix established are very harsh. You cannot control any IP, you don't have any backend as a producer, you work only as a job for hire, work very hard because you obviously want to deliver the top image to the world. So quite often you end up with very little margin because you are proud of your work, so you have to deliver quality. And I hope that this will actually make Netflix realize if they want to open doors to top talent and more content, so they will have to be a bit more flexible.
Well, it's going to be interesting, all of the amount of competition that's really going to hot up. As a result of COVID, obviously we saw, very well reported, we saw the growth of subscription right across the board for all the different services, and Disney going from 0 to 60 in however many seconds. Now that's starting to cool down a bit. So it's so it's going to be really interesting to see how all of these groups compete. And I'm sure it'll probably lead to a bit of merger and acquisition action happening before too long. We'll keep our eyes on that. How about your hero of the week, Marina? Who's your hero of the week and get in the bin?
I don't know how many people follow the recent news, but my ex-colleague from Endemol, Richard Johnson, who left the company after probably 20 years, if not more, joined I think it's absolutely unbelievable project, and of course too early to say, but I think he's a hero. He joined the project founded by entrepreneurs who acquired a piece of a space station with a 50-year license to exploit the space station for entertainment, where you can build an arena in zero gravity and you can hold sports competitions, art gallery exhibitions, and you can basically do a lot of things in space. And I think it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I saw that story. It was incredible. So it's basically a studio in space, isn't it?
Yes.
Studio for hire.
Yeah, for hire, for events. It's still, I'm sure this project will still have to involve a lot of, and attract a lot of funding. But I think for Richard to get involved is fantastic because after being kind of locked in a corporate environment for so many years, just to get out there and to look at something totally out of the box, totally different, I think is fantastic.
Must be a lot of fun to work on that. So Richard Johnson, there is your hero of the week. And how about the bin? Who or what are you telling to get in the bin, Marina?
If I can be very general, I don't want to name any people, but I think whoever feels pessimistic and finding an excuse, to be negative because of COVID, or trying to excuse not to think even more creatively, I think these people should go to the bin. I think it's time for all of us to find a very positive mood. We've been through a very difficult time and still not completely out of it. But I think everybody learns so much during this experience. And of course, in some countries, the government supporting also with insurance schemes, the disruptions in production. So we should all lobby together for that, work together for this actually support to come more, but also not be afraid.
Here. Well, I
Yeah.
think you're right. I mean, this is the most miserable time of the year, isn't it? Usually, these couple of weeks in the middle of January, and it is easy to get a little bit blue. And in fact, the term Blue Monday was coined for last week, I think it was. But yeah, I think, let's face it, COVID's on the retreat and spring's coming. The days are getting longer. We should be looking ahead to some positive times ahead.
Yes, I think so. And for more positive stories to bring to the viewers, for uplifting mood.
Yeah, exactly. So anybody who isn't on board with that, they can get in the bin.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Fantastic. Marina Williams, thank you so much for joining us this week. Really enjoyed chatting with you. All the best with the Asacha Media Group. We'll be keeping our eyes peeled for your latest acquisition news. And maybe we'll see you at MIP TV, or maybe we'll see you at NEM, or maybe we'll see you at some of these industry events coming up in the months ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. It was a real pleasure to talk to you, Justin.
My next guest on this week's show is Julien Degroot, Head of Content Development at French free-to-air broadcasting group TF1. Julien, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hello, Justin. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I hope your listener will enjoy our discussion today. But yes, I'm very glad.
Just looking at your job title and your role and what you do keeps you pretty busy. So I'm really delighted that we've got a little bit of your time to have a chat. And also, I love always speaking to senior executives in the French TV industry, because I think for various reasons, we don't get to do that too much. And maybe on the international stage, we don't get to talk about the French industry as much as we should. To begin with, then, can you tell our listeners a little bit about TF1 and your role there and the networks and channels you oversee?
Yeah, for sure, Justin. So as you said, I'm the head of content development for TF1 Group channels. So to give you the big picture, I have three main tasks to manage: commissioning, creating IPs, and scouting. So first, I'm in charge of commissioning and overseeing all new unscripted formats, studio-based or factual entertainment. To give you some examples, I've commissioned The Masked Singer, Ninja Warrior, The Wall, Tattoo Fixers, a lot of daily factual entertainment for TF1 and for our DTT channels. My second task, I have to create original IPs. So it could be our own format created in-house, or it could be co-development with French producers, with international producers. To give you an idea, in the last 4 years, we have put 31 paper formats on air.
Right.
Not only on TF1, but on the DTT channels as well. And thirdly, with my other team, so my first team is a development team with creative executives. My other team is a research team. So we oversee scouting scripted series format as well, unscripted and scripted formats to be adapted locally. And we buy finished products, ready-mades for our DTT channel. So that's why, as I said, commissioning, creating IPs, and scouting ready-mades and good formats.
Hence why you're so busy. So what does that mean in terms of the amount of content that you're producing a year across all of those three responsibilities? Do you have an idea of what that looks like in total?
I work for TF1, the leading channel in France. For TMC, I would say it's a DTT channel, but a national free-to-air channel. On Key Demo, it's the fourth national channel. And we have also TFX. TFX is the young skewing channel with a lot of reality on the daily slots, factual entertainment on prime time. And then we have TF1 series film, but that's only scripted series, movies. And I would say that more and more I work for my TF1 or Avod platform. So every year I have to commission prime time for TF1, access prime time, daily access prime time for TF1, prime time for TMC, dailies for TFX, and prime time for TFX. To give you some example of TFX, we have brands like Tattoo Fixers, How to Look Good Naked, OCC, and then on a daily basis on Access Prime Time, for example, we have the adaptation of Are You the One, the Viacom format, but on a daily version. So it's like 60 episodes like that. And we have 3 key brands of reality on TFX. On TF1, on prime time, we have what I call the Big Five: Survivor, The Voice, Dancing with the Stars, Ninja Warrior, The Masked Singer.
Yeah.
And after many seasons, they still do very well, overperforming the slot averages. And to complete my answer, I would say that more recently, I want to point 3 formats that got good ratings. Game of Talent, the Fremantle format. So we did the first season last September, and next weekend we're gonna tape the second season. Good Singers, the global agency format. So next month we're gonna tape the third season. So very happy with the ratings of the first 2 seasons. And Family Feud, the old format, but still doing well. Family Feud arrived in France in the late 80s, like I think everywhere in the world. Then in France, we had a reboot of this format in the 90s. And I used to be the producer when I was a producer. So I produced Family Feud for TF1. So it was a daily show, like, I don't know, maybe 1,000 episodes, something like that. And last year we did a third reboot with a new host at the late prime time, so late programming at after the prime time, around 11:30. He did very well, and so we decided to commission a special episode with celebrities, and it will be taped this afternoon. So that's some big formats, international formats, doing very well among the big 5, as I described.
Interesting. Okay. And it's interesting that there's a global agency format in there, and you say that's performing well. So there are 4 channels that you oversee. So what's the structure of your commissioning team then? Because that's a lot of work. So how do domestic and also international producers and partners practically work with you to bring you formats or pitch you ideas? How does that work?
First, because I think it used to be different in the UK. I think we are more and more the same in terms of organization. But just to give you the big picture, I would say like 5 or 6 years ago, within the TF1 group, it was like one commission team per channel for TF1, TMC, TFX. And then we decided to have only one unique team and to centralize all the decisions to make sure that when we choose a content, it will be the best content for the best slots. And in order as well to do sometimes some reruns or to say, this show could be great for this first run in this slot, let's say on TFX, and maybe a rerun on TF1 afternoon on the weekends. So now we have only one team. With my team, the idea is to welcome all the producers. So we have meetings every day mostly with French producers. And when they have an idea regarding an unscripted format, unscripted idea for TF1, TMC, or TFX, they come to us, they pitch, and then the idea is to, regarding the strategy for every slot, for every channel, is to say, this content will be great for this slot, this channel. So then I would say I have the responsibility to shortlist the best projects. And then I have a weekly meeting with the management board. So I mean with the head of programs, with the head of programming, and with the number 1 of TF1, Ara Prikian, the head of the channels. And then together we decide, as well with the head of unscripted programs. So the 5 of us, we decide which show is the best, which show is to commission. And then when the show is commissioned, then with my team, we have the responsibility to oversee the launch, to oversee the first season. So I mostly work only on the first season on every format, and then another team takes the responsibility. So like that, I'm always focused on new shows, upcoming first seasons, and all that. And then to give you an idea, I would say my team is not that big because we are 7.
Right.
So it's not that big to manage all this program scouting and program developing and program commissioning. It's a very motivated team, so I'm very lucky on this point.
Right. Well, it's a very lean team, if you like, because it sounds like you're involved in that commissioning, and also you're all invested in those shows in the way that, you know, they can work across different channels. So when you're making a decision, is you're looking clearly for the best value as well when it comes across, you know, content ideas that will work across channels. But also it's interesting you're really involved in the launch in terms of marketing, which is slightly unusual. Certainly in my experience, you have different departments come in and oversee marketing, and yes, the teams work together to do that, but it sounds like you're a very lean team, and you've got a very clear idea for each format and each acquisition that you make, and you want to launch it in the way that you buy into it at that pitch stage, I guess.
Yeah, I would say two things. First, it's so great to work in a group like TF1 because the marketing team, the team in charge of of trailers, of on-air promotion, they are amazing teams. So then that's their responsibility. I would say my team is the middleman between the production company and this team. So of course we are in charge of the launch, but then we are helped by amazing. And then I would say, because it was not the case before, but for 5 years now, because actually I have two bosses. My team is linked to the head of program. So when we commission a show, I work with this guy, Fabrice Bailly, is the head of program. So kids programming, unscripted, acquisition, French fiction, is in charge of everything. But so I would say that's nice to be linked to him, because when a show is commissioned, when we launch a show, it's great to have his comments and his help. And my team is also linked, and my other boss, that's quite unusual. I think maybe I'm the only one at TF1 to have two bosses. The only one is the head of programming. And so thanks to him, we are involved in the strategy. So that's why, as you said, because we are involved in the strategy for the different slots, for the different channel, I would say that we know what we are looking for.
Yeah.
It's not only, okay, we receive projects and then we think, okay, it's a good or it's a bad project. We know what we are looking for, because we are, at the very first day, we are thinking about the strategy, saying, okay, we know that in the next 6 months we want to let's say we want to have a new guessing game show. We want a new game show for this slot. We want to explore a new slot. So we put that strategy on the table, and then it's okay, we have these slots, we have these needs. So what will be the best project to fill these needs?
Yeah.
So I think it's key. It's to be part of the strategy, and then to know very well the needs, and then to look after the right projects.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Approaching things like that. Are you developing any formats with international producers, or is it like 90% French producers?
Yes, it's 90% French, but I hope it will be more and more international players.
Right.
We like that. I think in the first phase, because I arrived at TF1 6-7 years ago, so I think the first phase was okay. At the beginning, it was like no creation at all. You know, for a long time, the DNA of TF1 was to look after formats already on air abroad with an impressive track record, and so to minimize the risks. And then when the new president, Gilles Pélisson, arrived like 6 years ago with his head of content, Ara Prikian. So when the big two, the top two, when they arrived, they decided to have a more entrepreneurial culture and say, okay, we have to take risks, we have to innovate. And so content-wise, it means to create our own content, to co-create our own content with partners, and so to try and see. And failures are part of the business. So it's not a big deal to get some failures. It's part of the business. So with this new mindset, thanks to them, I would say 4 years ago, we started to create formats, to take risks, to put paper formats on there. And I would say the first phase until now was to create regarding our needs. And so to say, okay, we need a daily factual entertainment for TF1 in Access Prime Time. We don't have an amazing format abroad, so let's take the risk to create our own format. So it was the first phase to create for our own needs. and only for, I would say, for our viewers. And I feel that we're gonna begin the second phase more and more now to create good IPs, not only for our local market, but also for the international market. So we have started to create some amazing formats. Let's talk about The Secret Song. It's a variety music show with surprises. It's a big shiny floor entertainment in which celebrities have no idea what they are in for, and so they arrived on the set on the iconic Secret Song chair, and then they are waiting for a surprise. It could be like something, a song from their relatives, from another celebrity, and it's in a kind of homage. So we created the format more than 3 years ago. So far, we have done at least 10 or 12 primetime shows on TF1. The last one was last Saturday, a few days ago, and once again we got an amazing 30% on key demo, 30% share. So it was far from the competition, far above. I know that I think it was last week the format knew a massive launch on TV4 in Sweden with an amazing 38% share. 8 primetime have been produced by Warner in Sweden. The show has been already adapted in Italy, in few other countries. So yes, I would say that I think because we are a quite a big market, we are able to create format even for our market, but for international market as well. And the same regarding our creation and paper formats. I would like to mention our daily docu-reality series, Thought for TF1. So it's on TF1 every evening, just before 6 p.m. from Monday to Friday. And it's a docu-reality series called Large Families. I created this show with my team, and I'm so proud of it because it has been a game changer for us, doubling the market share in Access Prime Time every day from Monday to Friday. So far, we have produced, I think, almost 200 episodes. And so in this docu-reality, we follow the amazing, exceptional daily life of 10 large families. I mean large families, I mean with 6, 7, 8, 10 kids. And so every daily task becomes a huge challenge. And so we follow everything, giving birth, buying a house, proposing wedding, announcing pregnancy. So emotion, of course, and everything is living in bigger. And in the end, it's not that stress to watch. I think it's inspiring. It's feel good TV because at the beginning you say, okay, how they do to manage 10 kids. I have difficulties to manage my 2 kids. How they do to manage 10 kids.
Yeah.
But then I would say it's hypnotic to watch.
Yeah.
The pace is awesome. We jump from one family to another every 3-4 minutes. So the pace is great. And from the very first day, the ratings were amazing. And I think we launched this in summer 2020. So just after the big and the real first lockdown, I would say. To tell you, in this slot, we have had British faction entertainment, locally produced, locally adapted. We have had 4 weddings, 4 in a bed. So for 10 years, we have had this kind of faction entertainment, with scores, sometimes with mean comments and stuff like that. And when large families arrived, it was like a smashing hit from the very first day because I think viewers wanted to have only feel good. We don't judge any family. Every family has his own way of educating their kids, of managing their daily lives. And so I think, yes, as I said, it's just inspiring.
Sometimes I guess if you can source something special about not only the stories you tell, but the way that you tell them, that is very, very genuine to a local audience, then actually that can unlock something that travels. Actually, there's just unlocking a particular element of human nature or the way that you approach a certain subject can actually create a format that surprisingly does really well abroad, even though in the first instance you've developed it for a local market. So you're having a lot of success there in terms of international format development, which is great. Am I right in saying that France is still a little bit behind maybe where it should be when it comes to developing formats for the international market? Because it's such a rich culture when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to animation, film, storytelling, cinema, the screen, basically. And, perhaps other territories have become more successful over time, whether it's the UK or US or you talk about global agencies is obviously developing formats for the international market. I always see France as saying there's so many great stories and such a rich culture there. Why aren't there more French formats doing well on Fox, for example, or on channels right around the world? What's the reason for that?
I think first you are totally right, and I'm annoyed by that, and that's why I would like to change that. First, as I said earlier, for a very long time in France, TF1 and the other channels, they wanted to minimize the risks, and it was easier to adapt an international format with an impressive track record. So for a very long time, in France, I don't say it was easy, but I think it was like, okay, let's wait after 1, 2, 3 seasons. To give you an example, and to give you 2 British big formats, Dancing with the Stars and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. I think it has been adapted on TF1 maybe after 2 or 3 seasons of success in the UK, in the US. So it was like that before. I would say in the 90s, in the 90s, it was okay, let's wait and we'll see if we have to adapt it or not. Now, I think, as I said, and especially at TF1, thanks to the new management, I think we are willing to take risks, to take more risks, and to create. And I think because now French producers, French broadcasters, I think they have understood that it's part of the business to create IP and then to get revenues from the international sales. So yes, I think we are running late on this business. That's why, as I said, maybe to minimize the risks, the first phase at TF1 was, okay, we're going to create now our own IPs, but first, clearly to address our local needs and to make sure that, because our first business is to get amazing ratings for the advertisers. That's the core business of TF1. But I would say now I think we are ready because we have created our IPs, paper formats. We got successes, we got failures, but we have learned, and we have some example that some formats could be relevant for the international market. So the Secret Song is an example. 3 years ago, we created with my team 2 daily faction entertainment, the best Christmas, the best holidays, in French, Mon plus beau Noël, les plus belles vacances, and it has been adapted in Italy, in the Netherlands, in Belgium, in Germany. So it has started to travel. And the last example, the latest example, I'm very proud of. It's not necessarily a format, but it's give you an idea of, okay, we are able to create good content, good enough to travel. It's the docu-reality on TMC, on prime time on TMC, called The Parisian Agency Exclusive Properties. It's available on Netflix as well. And this reality series follows the Kretz family and their luxury property business. They help clients buy and sell amazing homes in France and in the rest of the world. So it's a great show. And so to tell you, it was first a commission only in France for TMC. So the first season was commissioned. I commissioned the show for TMC. We produced the first season with Media One in France, and then Netflix watched the show, loved the show, and so they decided to buy the rights of the first season to put it on Netflix worldwide, and then even they decided to co-produce the second season with us. So the second season just started on TMC on prime time 2 weeks ago, and then it will be on Netflix in France and abroad. So it's we are not necessarily talking about a format here, but it's great as well to create content relevant for the French audience and even relevant for an international audience, and to be broadcasting worldwide through Netflix, through Peacock, maybe tomorrow, or Amazon or whatever. So thanks to these examples, Secret Songs, or Daily Faction Entertainment, Sold Abroad, The Tourist, a satisfaction format adapted in Germany, the Parisian Agency. So thanks to these examples, we know now that it's possible. We can create formats, content relevant for France and abroad. So that's why I think now our new mindset is okay. We have to dig in this way and to create more original formats for our local market and for the international market. So, but yes, you're totally right. We were late because I think it was part of the risk management and the way the business was organized in France. I think now, because everything is quicker now, we have to make decision far quicker. Now the competition is worldwide, so yes, that's exciting.
Yeah.
We have to move quicker, and we have to be more creative, more and to innovate more. So yes, that's the upcoming months, the upcoming years are so exciting.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you're very well positioned, just in terms of the way that your team is organized, and you're very, very clear about what you're looking for. When you're developing formats, a big part of that is tapping into human behavior, human trends, the way that people interact with each other, maybe what's happening a little bit in the wider world as well. As we come out of COVID, do you see any trends that you're looking to tap into when it comes to developing new formats for locally, but also for the world? Any human behaviors perhaps that is front of mind for you when you're actually going out and developing these new shows?
Yes, definitely, because I think we all have had a tough month in the last 2 years. And so we feel, as I explained, for large families, I think we feel that viewers want to have fun in front of the TV. So definitely, I would say maybe I can highlight kind of 4 trends, and we have a lot of projects in development or in production in this way. The first is the fun and funny studio-based entertainment, definitely for co-viewing and to laugh, just to laugh, to relax in front of TV. So, for example, in this genre, we are producing That's My Jam, the Jimmy Fallon format. So it's in production right now. It will be on prime time on TF1. So definitely, it's a kind of format just to have fun, just to relax. So I would say this. Then we have seen in the last months that the nostalgia and archives is a big trend here in France. So to give you an example, last summer we produced a prime time for TF1. Very simple. It was like 2001, 2021, 20 years of TV. And it was just a kind of documentary with a lot of archives, and it did so well. And even we did a rerun of the same show 6 months after, early January, and he did even better
Right.
compared to the first. So I when I say good ratings, it's like above 30%
Wow.
of market share.
Wow.
So it was like crazy, and so we feel that nostalgia is great here. We have some new projects in this kind of documentary with archives. Even we have a studio-based game show around this. I can't say more, but that's an international format that we are adapting now.
Is this pre-COVID? Is this the people looking back to the days before COVID, do you think?
Yeah, the good old days. Maybe the good old days to say, okay, it was so fun and lively in the 90s, in the 90s. So maybe it's part of that to say, okay, it was so fun before. And yes, maybe the life was easier. The life was more beautiful. So maybe it's part of that. So we have nostalgia archives. We have the fun studio-based entertainment for the younger audience. We still have reality, noisy reality, but I would say that yes, definitely we want to put humor in it and to have fun and funny reality. To give you an example, we have created a dating show called Dating with Dogs.
Right.
So it's a paper format. It's a co-development with Coyote. Coyote is one of the major indies in France. Um, and the idea is, okay, you're gonna as a single, you're gonna match the dog before matching the owner.
Right.
And so it's already taped. It's in editing right now. It's very fun, and it's so a TFX dating show. So to give you the idea, so the single, he has or she has a dog. They are like an inseparable pair, and the single will have to match the sweeter's dog on the dating app and then in real life before meeting the owners. So I come with my dog. I'm gonna meet three dogs, and based on the dog, say, okay, this dog is so gentle with my dog, or this dog is a bit ugly, so I don't want to meet the girl behind. And so, based on the meeting with the three dogs, I'm gonna pick up two dogs, and so I'm gonna pick up two girls, and then it will be like a more usual dating date. But so yes, but then it's a real experience, and because for the owners of the dogs, because they are all owners, that's very key to find out love and to find out a partner in love with their dogs as well, and able to accept my dog. So the I would say the promise, yes, is a bit and funny and new and unusual, but then it's a real experience of dating. So I can tell you that yeah, the show is very fun to watch, and I think for the people in the experience, at the end they really can find love, but for the viewers, it's so fun to
Yeah.
watch.
Well, I can imagine. I mean, also, as a result of COVID, obviously dog ownership went through the roof. Everybody was deciding, I've always wanted a dog, but, and then everybody was at home and everyone worked out, actually, we can have a dog now, right? We can't travel anywhere. I don't travel everywhere. I'm working from home. I can have a dog. So maybe there's something there. And I mean, the UK's big nation of dog owners. Perhaps we might see your format in the UK before too long.
And I hope. And the fourth trend is because it has been tough with the COVID, with the lockdown. I think maybe viewers and broadcasters and everyone want to highlight good human people, and I mean not necessarily nurses and doctors and all these people who have helped a lot during the COVID crisis, but I mean the human nature. And so I can feel that generating heroes faction entertainment with real people at the core, I think it's a trend as well. So, for example, it's not a new format, but we just did a reboot of how to look good naked, and I think this kind of format highlighting good human behaviors, good human nature. I think it's just yes, it's good. It's good now to watch this kind of show, with no judgment, with no mean comments, and just to push and to put into the spotlight good humans.
Kindness as well.
Uh,
It's a bit of kindness, isn't it? It's about, again, as you say, post-COVID, people seem to be striving for people to be nicer to each other, and we've seen cattiness and bitchiness and the way that social media can create lots of unpleasantness. But simple kindness is something that you think is also the fourth trend you're seeing.
Maybe it's a bit naive to say that and to hear that, but definitely I think yes, because it was very hard. I think as a human being, as a father of two, yes, in front of TV, I just want to after the news, I want to watch yes fun shows with good feelings and just to have fun and to laugh with my kids and family. So yeah, definitely, I think yes, we are in this era of TV of feel good, inspiring shows. And yes, just to have fun, because it's so hard to stay and to work from home for the kids, to have PCR tests like every 2 days to go to schools. Yes, that's hard. And I think maybe it's not a trend, but I would say, and maybe thanks to the international competition with the international and the US platforms, in Europe, Netflix, Amazon, Disney Plus, and all these platforms that you have the same in the UK. I think maybe now we have to innovate. We have to propose more and more novelties, new programs, like every month. So to give you an idea, I'm so excited. I'm so happy because right now, currently, with my team, we are working on uh, 18 new brands for 2022, including 7 international formats and 11 paper formats creation. So it could be, and in these examples, it could be paper format creation from my team, co-development with French producers, and even co-development with international players. So in a docu-series, studio-based entertainment, dating show, faction entertainment. So, and for TMC, TFX, TF1, and we try to do more even for my TF1 or digital platform. It's an AVOD service. It's a great service. I'm not the manager of my TF1, so when I say it's a good service, it's not not at all involved in that, in this success. But on my TF1, we have around 25 million unique monthly users. So every month we have 25 million of French people coming to my TF1, the app, the website, to watch replays with advertising, to watch replay of all big shows, local fictions, some exclusive content, mostly acquisition, both for my TF1. And more we try to put even original content. So it could be like reality, it could be documentary. So I would say that even more and more, um, I have to have in mind to get the best content for TF1, TFX, TMC, but as well for my TF1. Last month, we launched my TF1 Max. So it's like ITV Up Plus. So that's the same service, but you pay for having no ads. So I would say maybe it's a trend, but it's a trend for the full industry in France, the streaming platform and the streaming service. So as you know, with the public service, France Télévisions, and with M6, our main competitor, we created Salto. It's a kind of the French Hulu.
That's right.
So it's a SVOD platform. So with no ads, you pay every month, and you have a lot of previews. 1 month in advance, 6 weeks, 8 weeks in advance. You have the big show from TF1, M6, and the public service. You have some exclusive content, and so yes, that's part of the business to invest more and more in the digital platforms. So it's great for the industry. It's great for the producers. It's great for the content creators. It's great for me as a commissioner and as a content creator. It's also a big trend I think to invest more and more in this in the streaming services.
You mentioned M6, and obviously there's an upcoming merger that is in play at the moment. What's the latest on that, and how's that affecting how you operate as a business? Because whenever you're going into a big media merger anywhere in the world, a lot of people experience, okay, you've got to stop spending, you've got to stop commissioning until the merger is finalized. And sometimes that can be like, 6 months of where you have to pause all that activity. Doesn't seem to me that that's what's happening at TF1 at the moment. Tell us about that upcoming merger and how it's affecting your daily activities.
Yeah, firstly, and I would say that's a key point, a big point. It won't be necessarily an upcoming merger. I mean, we don't know yet if we'll be authorized or not to merge. So now we are waiting for the green light of the authorities. So we don't know yet if the merger will be effective or not. I think we should know around next summer. And if the merge is green-lighted, and the merge will be effective in next December. So we still have to wait 1 year, at least 11, 12 months. But yes, we don't know yet. So in the meantime, M6 is still our main competitor, and we have to act like that. That's our main competitor. It's still our main competitor. And maybe tomorrow, maybe the merger will be effective, and it will be great because it's what we want. But if the merger is not effective, we will keep our own path, and so we'll see. So in the meantime, I don't want to be disturbed by that. I want to keep my path and work as I have to work. I mean, to get the best content, the best formats, and to make sure that we are still the leading channel in France. As I said, we'll see. We'll see. We are waiting, and we'll see maybe next summer to get first clues from the authorities, and then we'll see if it's effective or not.
And now it's time for Story of the Week, the TV industry news story that's caught my guest's eye in the past 7 days. Julien, what's your Story of the Week?
It's a very local story. I would say that the French story, but maybe it could be appealing or relevant for your listeners. It's a major agreement for cinema, television, and streaming signed this week in France for the media chronology. This French exception which obliges a delay between the release of a film in movie theaters and its broadcasting.
Yes.
So this media chronology is here to protect the release and the movie theaters. And until now, Canal Plus could broadcast a feature film 8 months after its release, and the streaming platforms like Netflix, it was 36 months later. With this new agreement, it will be only now 6 months for Canal Plus, 15 months for the other platform, including Netflix, and for the traditional broadcasters is still 22 months. But I would say that this story of media chronology, what all that says, it's the content and the viewers are at the core and are the big winners in a way, because it's a win-win situation to protect our local industry by having French players and international platforms to invest in local content, because they obtain the reduction of the delay by investing more in local content. So for example, Netflix, Amazon, Disney+, they have to invest 20% of their turnover into local content, movies, fiction, unscripted. So it's great to make sure that even the US players will invest in French local content, and so to make sure that our local industry will be dynamic enough and with a lot of opportunities for everyone. And even if the delay is decreasing, is still a good way to protect the releases at the movie theaters. I would say it's totally French, maybe in a way, but it's a good example of how, thanks to the authorities, the local industry is protected. And, it's what we called l'exception culturelle. So the French cultural exception.
Yeah.
But it's a good way, maybe for someone abroad, it sounds like a lot of laws, a lot of obligation and stuff like that. But it's a good way to make sure that the local industry is lively. And now, even if it's not my business, and as you know, I'm in the unscripted and format business, but I'm so proud to see that in France, every year we produce a lot of movies. And so we have a lot of writers, directors, actors, comedian, actresses. And so it's so great to have a lively industry, of course, for the movie, but that's the same for the TV industry.
It's like it's a mixture of protection but investment in the local industry. So that's fascinating. And I don't think is there a similar arrangement elsewhere in the world, or is it literally exceptional to France, this sort of agreement?
Yeah, we call that the French cultural exception. So I mean, maybe it's a clue that's it's typically French. Maybe in the US, with all the unions, I think they are strong enough to protect the industry as well. It's not my expertise, so I don't know very well. But maybe yes, in the US with the unions.
And now it's time for Hero of the Week and Get in the Bin. Julien, who's your Hero of the Week?
So my hero of the week is Arthur. It's a friendly wink. Arthur is a famous host here in France. It has been on air for 20 years, still performing well on prime time. Business-wise, some of you may know him as the former CEO of Endemol France, and currently is the founder and CEO of Satisfaction. Last year he bought Sony France. So he's the hero of the week, mostly for his special prime time next Saturday on TF1, celebrating the 10th anniversary of his format, Anything Goes. This format created on TF1 10 years ago, and then I think the format has been adapted in 25 countries. He taped this special prime time in a big venue with 2,000 people in the audience. The maximum allowed now in France due to the COVID. It was planned to have 4,000, but only 2,000 were allowed. The shooting was crazy, with more than 50 A-list celebrities coming to celebrate the format. And you will see the opening of the show is brilliant. It's a parody of Squid Games.
Okay.
So with a lot of French A-list celebrities and a lot of self-mockery from Arthur. So it's so funny. It's a great opening. It's available on the social network. It's in French, but the parody of Squid Games, you should have a look. It's very well done and very, very fun. So
excellent. All right. Well, we'll put a link in the episode description to that trailer there. And who or what are you telling to get in the bin, Julien?
So it was hard to find something to get in the bin. I would say, and I'm half joking, I would say the stock market. I mean the volatilities of media company stocks. Of course, the strong correction in US companies last week, like Netflix and Amazon, maybe in the wake of Bitcoins, but also because their stocks were so up and were up a lot in 2021. It was not the case for the traditional European players such as ITV, ProSiebenSat.1, and TF1, which nevertheless rise and fall with no correlation to the audiences, to the ratings, to the content. So that's why I would get that in the bin, the stock market.
All right, stock market volatilities going in the bin. Julien, thank you so much for being so generous with your time. Really enjoyed chatting with you. We could go on because, as I say, I've got such fascination for the French industry, and it's incredibly interesting. And I think that we don't get the opportunity to talk about it too much. That's one of my New Year's resolutions, to have more French industry executives on the show to chat more about goings on, and it's a really interesting time there as well. So thanks so much. Good luck with everything. Sounds like everything's shaping up to be a really good year for you and TF1.
So thank you for having me. It was great. I really enjoy your conversation. And yes, and finger crossed for all these upcoming new shows.
Well, that's about it for this week's show. Don't forget to rate and subscribe to TellyCast and share it with friends and colleagues. We've got a brand new website that includes exclusive feature content from TV's opinion leaders and journalists. They're all free to access. Just sign up at TellyCast.com. And while you're there, why not sign up for our free newsletter, TellyCast Plus? You can also follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. TellyCast was edited by Ian Chambers and recorded in London. Until next week, as always, stay safe